Yo guys, what is up? It is P from PTV and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you guys yet another Pyromancer build guide, and I'm so excited to tell you that it is not an Ash bullet build guide. We've thankfully moved off from that. It is no longer the meta after the nerf, and we grinded and we grinded and we got the gear, and today I'm going to be bringing you a build guide based on an anomaly Pyromancer build that is just melting everything. I cannot stress, I cannot understate this enough. I am melting, and I immediately went up to being able to do expedition tier 15s, going from struggling from T13s with the bullet build to now easily walking through T15s, getting lots of golds, sometimes silvers. Okay, I'm really excited to share this with you guys. If you're excited to see it and you appreciate this type of content, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We've pretty much doubled my subscriber count in the last 2 weeks, putting out Outriders content for you guys every single day. I'm super appreciative, I'm super thankful, and I want to continue to do so and continue to see what happens from here. So thank you guys for clicking on the video. That said, let's jump right into it. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the skills that we're going to be using, okay? Then we're going to jump into the class, and then we'll get to the items. And I'll try my best to timestamp everything down below, so if you want to skip to certain bits that you're able to do that. As far as the skills go, okay, it's going to be based around several things. Every single one of the skills is important, and they actually all do equal damage output towards the end of my runs. And we've got heat wave, right, which is super important. We've got overheat, and we've got thermal bomb. I would like to say that one is more important than the other, but it's just simply not true. You're seeing that the cooldowns on the screen right now, the cooldowns are pretty low. Everything's under 10 seconds, and that's probably the most important part for the build right now. Skills done, let's head over to the class. All right, now on to the class setup. Okay, we're going to start by getting this little one-off right here. Anomaly power by 6%. You'll notice, of course, it is an anomaly build, so we're going to make sure that we get all the Archmage little modifiers, the up to anomaly power. So it looks a little out of place, but I promise you it is definitely relevant. Okay, then we come back to the middle. We're going to get Magma Golem for the increased health. We're going to come over to warm-up. Definitely need those skill cooldowns. Like I said, 10 seconds or under is sort of the ideal bit for the cooldowns. Get another Magma Golem. Come down here, another cooldown reduction, super good. And now this is kind of a point of contention because you could go Master of the Armor to increase your armor by 20%, or you could go down to Meltdown to increase more damage by your burn. I found that I'm doing a lot of damage as it is right now, and you know, we could always go for more. Everybody loves more damage, and yeah, fair point. But I've noticed that, not to say that the build is squishy, because it's definitely not squishy at all, but sometimes there have been one-offs, you know, with like the overpowered sniper shots, for example, that track you pretty much can't get away from for the most part. You have to have a little bit of base armor increase just to make sure you can survive those one-off, you know, blasts to your dome. Nobody wants to run through a tier 15 expedition just to get popped by a sniper one time, 10 minutes in, and then you're done. So that's why I went with Master of the Armor right here. I could see someone else making a point for the Meltdown as well. Slide over, we're going to get another Magma Golem for increased health, get another Anomaly Power increase by 5%, another Magma Golem, and then we're going to come up and Distant Flame, and that's going to take all the Magma Golems that we've got right here, and it's going to multiply the anomaly power for each of them by 2.5. We've got 4 of them right here, so that's an additional 10% anomaly power. Super helpful. Okay, we've broken off down over here, and we're going to slide down to the bottom. We're going to go half Firestorm here, and then we're going to go half Tempest on the other side. We slide down and use Extinction to make sure that we're doing 20% extra damage to all the enemies under 30% health. Super helpful, especially when with this build, when we're struggling, we're not struggling per se, but it takes a little bit longer to kill the elites, to kill like the super spongy elite monsters right at the end of waves. And so once they get past that 30% health, we do even more damage to them, and that's been super helpful for us. Slide down, we're anomaly power again, more anomaly power, more anomaly power. Are you seeing a trend?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, me too.
Increase skill leech right here. That's going to be super important for survivability, the skill leech. Increase your anomaly power. Resistance piercing. We don't necessarily need that, but it's just kind of like the come over to the next bit. Damage to elites by 10%. That's incredible. Increase your skill damage by 8% against marked enemies. Everybody's pretty much always marked for the most part for this one. Of course, we would like to see the skill cooldowns right here, but we have to make a business decision, and we're going to go damage for this. And lastly, increase explosive skill-based damage by 30%. This is the class setup that I am running. If you're not interested in hearing about it, just take a screenshot, and we will move on to the inventory and kind of how the build operates. So boom, we're over here on the build. This is the item portion. Okay, note that you might not have all the items for this. There are required items, so you can't just put this together as like a one-off all purple bit, you know, building towards it. It is based around the Acari set. There are certain bits of the Acari set that are more important. If I had to, before we get into everything, if I had to advise which ones are best, I would say the helmet, the upper torso, and then the pants are the most important. I did start off running this with the pants, the hands, and the boots right here, and that was a decent sort of like a transition build until I could get the rest of the build. But then once I got these three pieces together, it was optimized. Okay, we're gonna start over here with the weapon. This is not the ideal weapon. As I prefaced earlier, there are things in this build that are not perfect. I am not maxed out by any means. I actually just came across the build a day or two ago, so I'm using what I have. This is the best that I have at the moment, called Imploder, and it is not by any means bad. Actually, it's very, very good. It comes with Deadly Disturbance, so every time we crit hit, we're going to deal an Anomaly Explosion for 222,000. That's the level 50 variant. Obviously, this is going to be lower for the lower levels, but we've paired that with Wrath of Moloch, which is another crit hit mod dealing 161k every time we crit. So we're getting roughly just under 400k every single time we crit, and that's happening within a 5-meter radius for the most part. And so that's been super, super helpful just to keep sort of sustainability when those cooldowns go all the way down. You know, we have to have 2 or 3 seconds of just kind of spraying, we crit, and then we're still doing a good bit of damage. Ignore these two guns. I pretty much just equipped them because I think they look cool, and yeah, that's it. The secondary guns are important for some builds, not for this. I just like the way that this looks on the back. It's pretty dope. So coming over to the Acari portions of the build. Now, before we get into anything, I want you to look down at the bottom for the set bonus active. Every enemy damaged by heat wave grants 50% anomaly power for 10 seconds. Now, what makes this so good is a lot of times we see items that have buffs, right? You know, it increased damage by so XYZ amount for so long, and then the portion that worries people is how much does it stack? You'll notice here that this doesn't have a limit per stack, which makes this overpowered as heck. I cannot understate that. So if I get into a line of enemies and there are 10 people there, okay, and then I burn every single one of them with heat wave, I'm getting 500% anomaly damage for getting 10 of them. And that's not it. If I line up 20 of them, right, that's 1,000% anomaly power. I mean, we're talking about obnoxious anomaly numbers here. So that's kind of what I want to do. You can take the Acari set and you can do a lot of different types of builds with it. You are not stuck on this one. This is the one that I prefer at the moment. Now, it's the other moves besides Heat Wave, Overheat, and then Thermal Bomb. I was trying Phaser Beam for a time instead of Thermal Bomb, but we'll get to here in a moment why Thermal Bomb was the move. For all of the Acari stuff, we're going to want to go Anomaly Power, Skills Life Leech, and Status Power. Those also, the fourth one is cooldown. So if you get cooldown on any of those, any variation of those three is going to be exactly what you're looking for. You notice that the helmet has everything except for cooldown, right? We're also going to look for the tier 3 mod that comes on the helmet, Fire Tsunami. This is going to increase the width of the tsunami, of the heat wave by a pretty substantial margin, allowing you to get more people with it, therefore allowing you to get higher anomaly power and more damage. The second one, Sunburnt and Overheat mod. We do additional damage every single time we consume the statuses. So we burn the people and then we hit them with the Overheat, and that does a substantial amount of damage on top. We'll get into sort of how the skills play off of each other a little bit more here in a little bit. Moving down to the armor of the Acari, another one, Anomaly Power, Skills Life Leech, and this one gives us cooldown. We max those out. I put two tier 3 mods on this. The first one that it comes with is called Detonator. It's an overheat ability and it decreases the skills cooldown by 50%. Obviously, that's great because we were talking about having all the cooldowns below 10 seconds, and that 50% reduction on the cooldown gets it well under. I think it's somewhere around 6. Let me just double check for you guys. I don't want to lie. We're at 6.6 seconds. That's ridiculously good. So that's why we leave detonator on. And then I put power assimilation on because every single enemy on the battlefield, and a lot of these expeditions, you'll see a lot of captains, you'll see a lot of elites. And now for every single one, the more elites there are on the battlefield, the more powerful we get. So we're going to get an 11,000 anomaly power boost for everyone. And there's five elites on the battlefield. We're going to get, somewhere around 55,000 additional anomaly power, right? And it just makes the most sense to me. Sliding down, you'll see again another anomaly power, skills, life leech, and cooldown reduction. We're going to go with branded here. Actually, let's go anomaly echo first. Anomaly echo, this one's pretty obvious. Because all of our skill cooldowns are under 10 seconds, we are going to get a sustained 11.5 thousand anomaly power for every 15 seconds. But because they're under 10 seconds, all the cooldowns, and I'm rapidly using them, that's pretty much, the uptime on that's going to be about 100%, right? Easily 100%. And then branded, this is why we use thermal bomb right here. Enemies affected by the skill receive 40% more damage. Now we'll see in another item that we are allowed to cast thermal bomb twice. If there are any elites that I'm looking to melt a little bit faster, I quickly cast thermal bomb on them twice, and I'm getting 80% more damage to them. And then we just start going through our skills rotation and dealing as much damage as possible. This is also very good. Because I mean, it's just the elites, right? I mean, thermal bomb's been great. It also works for AoE and crowd control. When I get a bunch of them set together, a bunch of like ads set together, and I cast it on several people, and thermal bomb is doing a ridiculous amount of damage as AoE, but it also has a double use for me, as the 80% to elites is just it's just a ridiculous amount of damage. So going on to the gloves, we're rocking purple gloves, man, and it's just simply because the attributes that it has: anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and skills life leech. Again, we already talked about the additional thermal bomb cooldown, so there's that. And now this one is important to talk about: emergency stance, a tier 2 mod. This one is glitched right now. It's already a good mod. Don't get me wrong; it's a good mod without it being glitched, but it's glitched because it gives me 4 seconds of the golem effect, which I think is a devastator mod, if I'm not mistaken. And that is a very powerful defensive mod. But the way that it's glitched is once it occurs one time in your run, you have the emergency stance activated for the entirety of the run, right? It just has to activate once, and then you're good to go. You can see this by there's like a little shield emblem that pops over your health bar, and you'll notice that once it pops once, it doesn't leave for the rest of the run. Obviously this is a very good mod, and it might be way more viable at the moment because it is glitched. It will probably eventually get patched here, and an alternative for if this doesn't work the same, as it should after the glitch is patched, then we have another mod that we can go after called damage absorber, and it just gives us a passive increase of armor of a ridiculous and obnoxious amount, along with an additional 10% resistance. So that's sort of my plan B. For once this gets nerfed. I want to make sure I offer that to you guys, because you'll be like, oh, the build's only viable because of the glitch defensive mod. No, that's not entirely true. It's just kind of what we're using at the moment. Going down to the boots, and this is the most, the boots of the Acari, for some reason, this is the one that is not optimized in the least bit, because we only get skills, life, leech, and cooldown as the attribute rolls. The max health, granted, max health is cool, but it's not what we're looking for. So yeah, we're looking for some different boots, and we have 4 pieces of Acari when only 3 are necessary. So I'm looking for decently rolled boots. I haven't come across them yet. But as far as the tier 3 mod right here, Master Consumer, now this is absolutely ridiculous. It's an overheat skill. The skill consumes either burn or ash status to deal damage, consuming both at once. Increase the damage by 150%, excuse me. And yeah, Master Consumer, it's just buffing our damage to our overheat, which is really, really good. And then, of course, the second one is Heat Wave, because we want to cast that as much as possible to make sure that we're getting all of the anomaly power buffs. We want to be able to cast it one more time just to get as much as humanly possible. So, yeah, an extra one before the cooldown starts is super helpful. Now, as far as the skills rotation goes on this, you're going to see in my gameplay, you'll see me try to group up when there are lots of ads, especially. You'll see me try to group them up. I'll do a little bit of running, and then I'll turn around and then try to get as many in the line for Heat Wave as humanly possible to boost that anomaly power up first, right? Then you'll see me activate Thermal Bomb for the AoE damage. you'll see me do another heat wave, because once we have the anomaly power granted, another heat wave is going to do a substantial bit more damage than the first one. Then you'll see me do another thermal bomb, and then at the end we hit overheat just to make sure anything that's left alive it pretty much dies immediately. I want to make sure that I get those thermal bombs activated to get the massive AoE damage, and so overheat usually takes care of that, and then you'll see them pop up, rise, and then explode. As far as the skill rotation for elites, we're going to do it a little bit different. I do one heat wave against the elites, and then I hit them twice with thermal bomb, because remember, we want to stack those thermals so we get 80% damage increase, right? Because stacking them 40% and then twice is 80%. Then I hit them with another heat wave, and then that's when the overheat at the very end. There's going to be a 2 or 3 second bit of time where I don't have my skills active, and so when I'm one-on-one with the elites, I just spray my weapon. Like I said, there are better weapons to have, but this one still does a substantial amount of damage. I just try to make sure that I'm getting those crit shots. That's easier said than done for some monsters. For some monsters, it can be pretty easy to find the crits, and obviously for the human bosses, like the captains and stuff like that, aim for the head, you're getting the crits, and then you'll get, you know, that sizable increase on damage. So I hope this build guide has helped you out. I definitely, you know, am really enjoying the build. It is making the game so immensely fun for me. Like I said in the beginning, I appreciate everybody coming over to the video and coming over to watch, and then the support. You know, I know we only have like 600 and some subscribers at the time of making this video, but it's way more than I'm used to, and these views are way more than I'm used to, and I appreciate everybody who's come over and shown support. That said, if you're liking the content, please make sure to consider liking, and then subscribe to the channel for more videos, more Outriders content just like this. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one, man. Peace.